Good afternoon, Kindle. Here to God willing record today's Chumash with Rashi for the fifth portion of Chayei. It's always learning to bind our souls to God, give pleasure, God, hasten redemption. Bring about Mashiach now. What do you call an alligator in a vest? He's an investigator. Chapter 24, verse 53. Parakaf Dalet, Pasuk Nun Gimel. So, yeah, they made the shidduch yesterday. It was agreed to by Rivka's family, and the story continues. Yotzei Eved Kli Kesef, and the servant, meaning Eliezer, brought out vessels of silver, or Kli Zav, and vessels of gold, Vagadim, and clothes, V'yitin Rivka, and gave them to Rivka. Migdanos, and delicacies, Nasan Lachicha, he gave to her brother, Ulim, and to her mother. Rashi, Migdanos, Loshin Megadim, Shehevi Momine Perosh Eretz Yisrael, brought fruits from Eretz Yisrael. Nun Daled, V'yochlu, they ate, V'yishtu, and they drank, Hu V'nashim, he and the people, She'ima were with him, V'yalinu, and they shluffed, V'yakum, and they got up, Aboker in the morning, V'yomer, and they said, and he said, Shulchuni Ladoni, send me back to my master. Rashi, V'yalinu, Kol Lina Shibamekor Lina Laila Echad, when it says Lina, it means one night. When you see this word in scripture, it means one night. So they slept the night and they went the next day. You could have thought they had a nice stay. They stayed a while. No, the next night. And her brother and her mother said, Teshav and Tanu, let the girl stay with us. Yamim, a while, Ueser, or, I'd have to mix in the Rashi now, otherwise it won't make sense. Yamim, a year, or Aser, or 10 months. Achar then she could go. So yesterday they said yes, but they didn't say when. Rabbi Gordon of blessed memory, Shabbat with some Guf Gashmi, the Gulishalim Mita, tremendous chesed. Had a lot to share on that. Nun Hey, V'yomer Rashi, Aicha V'ima, her brother and mother. Usul Hechanai, where was the father? I wrote the Lakev Abal Malcolm Israel. He wanted to hold up the story, so an angel killed him. We learned a little different yesterday as Rabbi Gordon of blessed memory, Shabbat with some Guf Gashmi, the Gulishalim Mita, brought down that possibly they tried to God forbid, poison Eliezer, and the bowls got switched, or maybe somehow I think they had these are my words, this is what I understood between the lines, they thought there was a way to get their hands on the wealth, but I don't know. All Eliezer had with him was the piece of paper. They did have camels and some silver and gold. You see he had some stuff with him. Maybe they would have been happy just to get the stuff he had with him. Who knows. Anyway. Rashi Yamim. Shana, it's a year, Kamo Yami Tiyeh Gula, so like we see another place in Chumash, by the redemption of I can't remember the redemption of a field or a house, but a person can redeem his field or his house up to a year, and there they use the expression Yamim. Shegag Nosan of Sula Zman Yud Beish Chodesh, the Farnes Asasman, so too they give a virgin girl 12 months to get herself ready, protect Shitim, that she could have her jewelry ready, and just, get her clothes ready, register where she needs to register, as Rabbi Gordon of blessed memory brought down. So she needs a little time to get ready. But we don't do this anymore. Now it's all one-shot deal. They make the chuppah. He proposes, if we even use that word, and we just try to get him the chuppah as quick as possible, so nothing should... We don't want an engagement period where, God forbid, something could go really, really wrong, and God forbid a million times, because the laws about the engagement period are very harsh. God forbid she were to go off track. But the ladies are good ladies. They should have cash kids, Mashiach, raise the kids to see Mashiach. Mashiach's a choice. And they should do what they need to do. Rabbi Gordon of blessed memory said, we're going to see that soon. Maybe I'll save that line for coming up. Or Aser, 10, Yud Chadashim, 10 months. Im Tomer Yami Mamish, maybe say means 10 days. Ein derech Hamavakshin Lavakish Davar Muat. It's not the way when someone's requesting something that they ask for a little bit, even though Tirtza Tain Lanu Meruvim is there, and if the other guy says no, they'll ask for more. He says, can you borrow $3? The guy says, no, how about 5? It doesn't work that way. So we're talking days. If they really said, let her stay with us a few days, or maybe, and then no, and then maybe 10, it doesn't make sense. So it's a year or 10 months. Nun Vav Yomer Alehem, and Eliezer says back to them, Al ta'achru, so you don't hold me up. V'Hashem atzliach darki, Hashem made my way successful. Shachuni v'elchol adoni. Send me off and I'll go to my master. Nun Zion V'yomru, and they said, Nikru l'nar, let's call to the young lady and ask her. So we see here you got to ask the young lady, and sometimes the girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Said a little too early. Rabbi Gordon, the blessed memory, mixed that in too. Shabbat with us in Guf Gashman, the Gula Shalom Mita. Shalas Pia, Makan Shane, Asina Isha, Lamadite. Here we learn that woman shouldn't be married off without her consent. Nun Ches, V'yikur L'Rivka, they called the Rivka, Yomer Aleh, they said to her, Slaking him in Isha Zeh. She said, do you want to go with this guy? Alright, will you go with this guy? V'tomer Lake, she says, I'll go. Rashi V'tomer Lake, Matzmi, I'm going on my own, even if you don't want me to go, I'm out of here. She could have just said yes. She could have, she says, she could have said, I'm ready to go. But she says, I'm going. I will go. Whether you want me to go or not, she says, I'm out. Nun Tez, V'yishalchos Rivka Chosam, they sent off Rivka, their sister, Ves Miniksa, and her nursemaid, Ves Evid, and Ves Evid Avram, the servant of Avram, and Lashav, and his men. It's interesting to call them their sister, because it's actually her, it's her brother and her mother there. It's the brother's sister, obviously, but it's the mother's daughter. It's interesting. Pasuk Samak, Rashi doesn't touch it, at least not in the simple meaning of the verse here. Rashi has this interesting story told about Rashi, a brilliant sefer that he had, and he was told he had to trim it up, and then finally it's what we have now. Maybe it was in the original print. Maybe he discusses. Samig v'yivarchu es Rivka, they blessed her, v'yomru la, and they said to her, Akusein, our sister, at Chayei la'alfi l'rava, you should be 1,000, 10,000s, v'yirish zerecha, and your seed should inherit a shar of the gates of those who hate them. Atai la'alfi l'rava, may you be the one that proves tens of millions. I guess 10,000 times 10,000 is tens of millions. Okay, fine. Ad zvarecha tekablu also bracha shenem ala Avram Bahar Moriah, that you and your descendants should be the recipients of the bracha that was given to Avram at Mount Moriah. Harba arba is zeracha. There's the blessing that Avram would have a lot of seed, a lot of kids. Ratzon shia also is there mimech. We want this seed to come from you. V'lo me'ish acher, it's not from another woman. I want it to be your descendants. That would be the Jewish people, and they were, and they still are. They should increase, and they should teach the kids to love God and see Mashiach now, and bring about redemption. Ladies, we teach the kids to see Gula first. Gula's a choice. We have a whole generation of kids. Just walk us over the line. Piece of cake. Alright. Samak Aleph. Takun Rivka and Nersecha, Rivka and her nursemaid got up. V'tir Kavna Gamalim. They got on the camels. V'tei Lachna, and they took off. Achrei Ish, after the man, meaning Eliezer. V'yichach Evid. That's Rivka Yelich. And the servant took Rivka, and they left. Samik Beis, V'yitzak Bab and Boy Be'er L'Roi, and Yitzak was coming from Boy Be'er L'Roi, or he had come from the direction, they say, of Boy Be'er L'Roi. Uyoshe Be'er Negev, and he was sitting in the land in the south. Okay. Bo Be'er L'Chairoi, Roshi, Shahalak Lavi Hagar L'Avram Aviv Shena. What was he doing over in Be'er L'Chairoi? He went to get Hagar back, or we're going to hear about God willing tomorrow as Keturah, so that Avram could remarry her. Yoshe Be'er Negev, what does it mean he was dwelling in the south? Karv also Be'er, close to that well. Shnemar, it says, V'yisam Misham Avram Arza Negev, V'yesha ben Kadesh ben Shur. It says Avram traveled from the land. Avram traveled toward the southern land, and he dwelt between Kadesh and Shur. So we see Avram was in the south. V'sham Hayabe'er, and that's where the well was. Shnemar, Yine ben Kodesh ben Barid, because it's between Kodesh and Barid. So we see that there's a southern references between Kadesh and Shur, and we see the well has been Kadesh and Barid. So somehow Uncle says they're the same, Kadesh and Shur, Kadesh and Barid. Shur and Barid are one in the same place. Okay, and we don't know how Uncle knows what he knows, but I guess we trust that he knows it, and that's the south. And not to argue on Unclos. I don't know a lot about Unclos. I think he was a Ger. I'm grateful to Harvard the Targum, that's for sure. And yeah, very wonderful to know more about that. But Unclos brings down that Shur and Bered are the same place. We see that this is clearly in the south. Avram went to the south, where it was the south, between Kadesh and Shur. And where's the well? Between Kadesh and Bar, which is Kadesh and Shur. So we're saying in the south. See that Yitzchak in the south. Sami Gimel. V'yetze Yitzchak l'suach, and Yitzchak went out to pray beside in the field, lifnos erev, towards evening. V'yisa einav, he lifted up his eyes, v'yara, and he saw v'hine gemalim b'ayim, and he saw the camels come. Rashi, the suach, lotion tefillah, it's prayer, kamo yishpok sichu, like we see in Tehillim. Samik dalid. Tisa Rivka Rivka also lifted her eyes. Yitzchak lifted his eyes, and he saw the camels. And it's interesting, he saw the camels. And Rivka lifted her eyes. There's Yitzchak. She saw Yitzchak with Tipo Malagamal, and it looks like she fell from off the camel, but I don't, that would sound like this clumsy thing falling off from Rabbi Gordon, the blessed memory, went a long, long ways to make us understand that's not pshat here. That really is something very, very different. So let's see how Rashi explains. V'tipa, Ashmita Atzmalar, she let herself slip down to the ground. To Targum, V'isvichinas, Hitza Atzmala Aretz. She let herself move down towards the ground. She leaned towards the ground. She didn't reach the ground. Lo Yia, the karka, she didn't reach the ground. Kamo Hati Nakadech, like lowering a pitcher. V'keni, V'yet Shemayim, tilting the heavens. V'arkin, Loshen Mutalar, she tilted towards the ground. V'domalo, Ki Yipolo Yutol, similarly, he will not be thrown down. If he falls, he will not be thrown down. So it's falling, but falling doesn't mean necessarily boom, face plant on the ground, God forbid. Falling means moving in that direction, towards the ground. So we're saying more like she lit towards the ground, as I understand it. That she wouldn't reach the ground. Gordon made it sound like this was a very graceful thing. Anyway, Shabbat with Gugash, and that's the main thing. Alright. Samik Chayei. Tomer al Eved, and she said to the servant, Mi Aish Halazeh, who's this guy? Halek Basada, walking in the field. Look, Ursano, coming to greet us. V'yomar Eved, and the servant says, Odoni, that's my master. Rabbi Gordon, blessed memory, Shabbat with Gugash, and the Gulasanga said, he's the man. Tikach Atzayif Tiskas, and she took her veil and covered herself. Rabbi Gordon, blessed memory, also mentioned that it's from here that we learn out the idea of Kabbalas Panim, that the Kala has the veil on until under the chuppah. The Chassan puts the veil on her at the Kabbalas Panim, and then during the chuppah, she's sipping the wine under the veil. I think after the chuppah, if I remember right, after the chuppah it's lifted, maybe not till the Yichud room, not sure which. Anyway, this is the idea of the veil. Rashi, Loshen V'tis Ba'el. It's reflexive. Kmo V'tikaver, V'tishaver. This is a reflexive form which expresses a passive meaning. There's not pleasant ideas there, so that happened. She covered herself. Seemingly she would be the one doing that, but the way reflexive works is it sounds like someone else was doing that. Translated here. She took her veil and covered herself. She lowered the veil. Maybe you could say incidentally the covering happened. I don't know if we can look at it like that or not. Okay, what to think about there. Samik Vav, Yisaper Ha'eved Yitzchak, and the servant told Yitzchak, it's called of all these things, Asher Asa, which had happened. Saper Eved Rashi, Gil Lo Nisim Shanasalo, told him about all the miracles, that the earth shrunk up for him. Shizdama Lo Rivka V'tfilah, so that Rivka was prepared from through his prayer. Let's just take a look at the notes. The verse refers to the miracles that happened to Eliezer. Why does it say the things he had done? It should rather have said the things that had happened to him. Ari answers it's quite usual to express doing in relation to the person whom the miracle occurred. One day from one place to another. That means a miracle. Nankos Yaakov, however, suggests that he had done. In fact, refers to God, even though his name is not expressly mentioned. Okay, very nice. Those are beautiful notes. So, a literal translation. I said that the servant told Yitzchak about all the things that had happened. I guess more precisely would have been everything that he had done. So, if it means everything he had done, meaning Eliezer had done. That doesn't really make sense to say Eliezer did the miracles. God did the miracles. But it could mean, one answer is that everything he had done refers to Hashem, everything Hashem had done, or that this is a nice way to speak. A person could say that he went from so-and-so to a place that takes 3 days' journey in one day. Says I traveled from here to here in one day. Yeah, you did? Okay, it happens that that's what happened to you, but what really happens is Hashem shrunk the way so you got there faster. Alright, Samach Zion, closing verse of today's Rashi's, God willing, we netter. Yeveh Yitzhak ha'ola, and Yitzhak brought her into the tent, Sarah, Imo of Sarah's mother, V'yikach es Rivka, and he took Rivka, Tihilo Isha, she should be for him as a wife, Yeveh, and he loved her, V'yinachem Yitzhak, and Yitzhak was comforted, Achri Imo, after his mom. Samach Zion, Rashi, Ola Sarah Imo, to the tent of Sarah's mother, Yeveh Ola, the nicest Dugma Sarah Imo, when he brought her to the tent, she became like Sarah. Kalomar V'hari hi Sarah Imo. She calls mine to Sarah Kayemis, because while Sarah was around, and I'm sure, I think she has to still be here in some kind of way. But when Sarah was present in the physical body where everybody could see her, Hainer Dolik Me'erev Shabbos Le'erev Shabbos, her Shabbos candles lasted a week. Broken with Sui Be'isa, and her dough had an extra special blessing. Vanin Kosher Oil, and there's a cloud tied to her tent. Umeshemesa Pasku, and when she died, so to speak, or at least when she wasn't as visible, these miracles ceased. Kshabar Rivka Chazer, when Rivka came, the miracles reappeared. Alright, it's a long note. We'll look at that in a second. Achri Imo, after his mother. Derek Eretz, this is the way of the world. Kozman Imo Shel Anam Kayemas, as long as the person's mother's still around, Karuchu Esla, he's a little bit, how do you want to say that? Bound towards her. Umishemesa, when she God forbid dies, Umisnachim V'ishto, then he's comforted by his wife. So as Rabbi Gordon, blessed memory, Shabbat and Gufkash, let me explain it. When a man, first of all, the Rebbe Melech Mashiach says we could have eternal life in these bodies. We just have to makabel p'nei Mashiach Sikenu, which means learn Yana Gula Mashiach and say in the streets, and memorize Mishnayos and say in the streets. It doesn't say about learning Yana Gula Mashiach and saying in the streets, but it's not a bad idea. Certainly like the idea, and that a man only finds full comfort in his wife after, God forbid, his mother isn't around. But I think everyone should just live forever and everyone should have eternal life. There's one more note here. He said each of these miracles was a sign of keeping a mitzvah. The dough was from separating challah from the shop, and the blessing of the dough was the merit of separating challah in the light, the merit of Shabbos and festival lights, the cloud, divine presence, and the merit of purity, holiness brought about through family purity. So the family purity, Shabbos candles, and challah dough, she got all these miracles. Yeah, so why does Rashi omit the fourth blessing mentioned in the Medrash, which sees for Sarah's death, but returned with Rivka came? Home being always open to the poor and the wayfarers, the open home that was open for everyone. Lavush Hora answers. The Rashi follows his rule of always explaining according to the straightforward meaning of the verse, which here indicates those blessings which came about as soon as Rivka entered the tent. This fourth blessing was not really until she had settled into her home. Okay, that's very important. There's really 4 miracles. The blessing in the dough, the blessing of the lights, the blessing of the cloud, and the blessing of the guests. But the guests didn't happen right that second. This was everything happened that second. As soon as Rivka walked in, the cloud returned. The blessing in the dough continued, and the lights came back. One's blessing in the dough was a miraculous increase in the dough. Alright, so let's review what we learned here quickly. God willing, nada. So, he gave out some gold and silver to the girl. He gave the food to the brother and the mother. They spent the night enjoying themselves together. Everyone had a nice upbringing, as I understand it. Next morning he wanted to go. They said maybe let her stay a little bit. They asked her. She said she's ready to go. She said, I'm gonna go. They blessed her. She should have, all the descendants should come from her and should crush their enemies. And they got on the camels. They caught Yitzhak in a field who was coming back from Ber Lachai Roy, where he was bringing Hagar Keturah back, so Avram could remarry her. And he was praying the Mincha prayer, which is associated with Yitzhak. Avram's associated with Shachris, Yitzhak with Mincha, and Yaakov with Mariv. A lot to say about that from the Gemara. Rabbi Gordon, of blessed memory, also mentions that. Should be back with us in Guf Gashmi. And, yeah, she was overwhelmed by his appearance. He saw the camels. She saw him. She lowered herself down, covered herself. Eliezer related all the miracles. There's interesting language there. And Yitzhak brought her into his tent and loved her, was comforted, and really cleaved to her. She became the matriarch of the Jewish people. And yeah, it's normal, I guess, for a person to say a miracle as if he did it, kind of relating the story with I traveled from here to here in one day, so to speak. And the miracles for Sarah were the dough, the cloud, the lights, and the guests. But the guests didn't happen right away, so we'll hear about those later. All right, Shiv now.